Well, hello everyone and welcome back to the Rugby Paper Roundup. I'm your host Charlie. You might notice I've got someone different with me today, not Cam anymore. We've got Ben. Ben, how are you doing? And if you could just explain a bit about kind of who you are, then that would be brilliant.
Yeah, hi Charlie. I'm the assistant editor of the Rugby Paper. So I cover all levels of rugby. I've been in this position for almost 5 years now, so should know a little bit on the paper and things. So yeah, a lot of my my titles to do with the editorial side of things. Interviewing players, writing up stories, sorting out statistics, booking reporters, photographers. Just kind of making sure that the paper's all in good shape for when it hits the shelves on Sunday morning.
Yeah, exactly. And it's good to get someone from the paper itself because obviously, like you say, it's available every Sunday. You can get it online edition, you can subscribe to the website, and you can buy a physical paper. And yeah, every week, all the kind of rugby news that you need. And yeah, Ben's at the heart of it. So it's good to get him on. But yeah, we've got a very exciting weekend of rugby ahead. Obviously, Rugby Championship and the Women's World Cup are the main two. So we'll start off with the Rugby Championship. Did you manage to watch either of the games last week? I know the Australia game was pretty early in the morning, but did you manage to get up and watch the All Blacks game? And yeah.
Yes, no, I managed to tune into both of those games. I thought they're both really enjoyable. Obviously, had a really nice comeback win for Australia. Real sort of gutsy effort from Argentina, and it seemed like they were going to have enough, but just at the end, Australia showed a lot of guts. I think declining those 3-point shots, and Harry Wilson saying to his team, "No, let's go for the jugular, let's get the win." And it was a statement win in the end. It was great to see that the crowd was in healthy spirits. There was a huge contingent of Argentina fans there, which was really good to see. They obviously create a really vibrant atmosphere, and I thought it was a really good match overall. You saw Joseph Suaalii, Australian rugby's $1 million man. He was at the heart of everything. Scored a couple of tries. He's now the joint top scorer in the competition as well. So he's exciting. And then obviously you saw Santiago Carreras as well. Bath's new signing. Obviously we all saw what he did with Gloucester the last few years. But he's such a good signing that is for the reigning Premiership champions. He's actually the top point scorer in the Rugby Championship with 24 points at the minute. I'm sure he'll probably add to his haul this weekend. But that was a really good game. And then I thought as expected, the New Zealand-South Africa match was really interesting. You saw quite difficult conditions in Auckland, slippery ball, therefore a lot of kicking, a lot of big high ball battle. And you would probably say that plays into South Africa's hands more than New Zealand's, particularly with the fly half like Handré Pollard, who will put those aerial bombs up. And you've got those wingers who are really good in the air, the likes of Cheslin Colby, and then at fullback as well, you've got Willie LaRue, who's usually pretty solid under a high ball. But it was actually New Zealand that controlled that aerial battle. And in fact, apart from the scrum, that they were best in every single facet. I'd expected South Africa to turn the screw late on with their scrum and their power game. They got back into the game, but no, I thought New Zealand were really, really impressive, and that keeps their very precious record at Eden Park alive, doesn't it? By beating South Africa. And in the end, I think they were worthy winners, and they're probably now in the driving seat to go all the way in the tournament. I know they've got very much improved Australia in the Bledisloe Cup after this weekend, but if they can beat South Africa tomorrow in Wellington, a ground where I know we'll touch on it, they're not too formidable, nowhere near as formidable as they are at Eden Park. Then I think they've got a great chance of going on winning the championship for the first time in a couple of years. But no, Australia seem like they're definitely resurgent. They've got some really good young players coming through, Max Jorgensen, and a really exciting back line with a lot of kind of like gnarly forwards. I think there'll be another test. Sorry, there'll be another contender this weekend. And if they beat Argentina, then they might be an outside chance at winning the Rugby Championship. That would be an amazing turnaround, wouldn't it, from where they were pre-Lions series?
Yeah, I mean, if Australia win it, then fair play to them, because no one would have expected them to do that. But I mean, second place would be a massively successful run to second and kind of overtake the Springboks. And how I guess how big of a thing would that be for the Springboks? Would that see them kind of the end of the era of dominance that they've had?
I mean, they've gone from being the team to beat for, I think they've actually even improved since, obviously, they won the 2019 World Cup. They went into 2023 World Cup, just about got over the line. But since then, it seemed like they actually kind of improved. They've made their backline a lot more expansive, a lot more kind of going away from Pollard into Feinberg, Omagazulu, and also Manny Labok, who play quite an expansive style of rugby, a lot of crossfield kicks, a lot of intricate passing, a lot of flair. So they're kind of even better to watch, and they just seemed like they were streaks ahead last year in the Rugby Championship. I know they were beaten by Argentina, but that was largely a second string South Africa side that played in Argentina. So, I mean, they seemed like they were miles ahead. I thought going into this tournament, I thought they were still the team to beat. But no, this has been a real shock, to be honest with you. They've suffered some pretty surprising, not just losses, but performances as well. I thought even the second game against Australia, I know they won the game in the end, but I still think they kind of laboured to victory. It wasn't convincing at all. And on another day, Australia will probably be kicking themselves that they didn't win that game, because they were the ones that were showing a lot more attacking ambition and also confidence as well. It all seemed a little bit kind of stop-start rigid from South Africa, and they can obviously resort to that power game, which is obviously just so pivotal in Test match rugby. But I do think that they're kind of a little bit kind of lost in transition at the minute. I don't think they fully know what kind of style they want to be playing. And yeah, if, like you say, if they finish third in this tournament, or potentially even fourth, that is pretty disastrous actually for Rassie Erasmus's side. That's not good enough. That's not what South African public were buying into. They thought they were going into this tournament as a winning machine. No one can stop us. That would be a hell of a fall from grace, wouldn't it? So we'll have to see. There's still a lot of rugby to be played. That they will obviously fancy themselves against Argentina in 2 games, try and right some wrongs of last year, and also they've got tomorrow's match as well in Wellington, which they'll be definitely up for, and trying to get some revenge after just coming up short last weekend.
And it is quite mental how fickle rugby fans and people are, because if New Zealand lose to South Africa in Wellington, then the chat will be South Africa are back and how good they are. But yeah, it just makes me laugh how much like one result can change things. Like, especially from me, obviously I was the one asking whether South Africa were over the hill or not. For now though, obviously it does look like they're not in an amazing place. Why do you think that is? Is it like Rassie trying too much? Has he lost his spark? Is it the players playing in Japan, a lot of the big names, and not getting the intensity at club level? What do you think is the kind of main issue for South Africa at the minute?
Oof, yeah, it's difficult to say, to be honest, because they've still got world-class players in every single position. They've still got as much depth as any other nation out there, including New Zealand. They can put 3-4 different teams out and they would be competitive in any global tournament. I still think they're a great size. They've got a great captain. I wouldn't change Sia Khaleesi. I know that was a little bit strange how he came back into the team though at number 8, a position that he hasn't played much in, and then he wasn't captaining as well. It was Jesse Creel against New Zealand, so that was a little bit strange. I'm not really sure what the reason for that was. I think, like I said, they are kind of stuck in the middle of 2 different playing styles. Do they want to be just this kind of like they were in that Lions series, actually, that kick first, dominate the breakdown, look to go to the driving more, kick the points when it's on offer, and just kind of grind teams down, and then in the last 20 minutes unleash that that potent back line full of so much flair, and then when the game opens up, do it that way? Or do they want to just be from the off this entertaining brand of rugby, play a bit like the old New Zealand teams used to, and then potentially unlock a defense that way? I think that maybe a little bit, they don't really know exactly what direction they're supposed to be going in. I wouldn't say it's crisis though. It's been 3 games. I thought they were really impressive in the warm-up matches as well against Georgia and Italy. They obviously had a really good Autumn Nations series last year. It might just be just a tournament that maybe they haven't got going. It could be that. It won't be. I don't think it's disastrous at all. I don't think it'd be time for crisis if they do finish 3rd or 4th. It's obviously pretty disastrous as a tournament, but for where they are, they'll be looking into the autumn to make amends and then go again next year. And like they said, they're always just building towards the next World Cup, aren't they? They're breeding through a lot of young talent. They even said before this tournament in the press conferences that now is a good time to bleed some new blood, and they've certainly done that. They've got a lot of young, particularly loose forwards coming through. It's not necessarily all the old stalwarts that were happening before. So yeah, I think South Africa are always going to be strong. They're always going to be a dangerous side. But yeah, I mean, a bottom two finish would be disastrous for this tournament. I just don't think that we can fully say, oh, South Africa have gone now. I don't think we can be that fickle. But if they go in the autumn and suffer a couple of defeats, then maybe we'll start thinking, oh, this really isn't looking good for Rassie Erasmus's side. But no, they'll still have full belief in Rassie in South Africa. He's an absolute god, and likewise Siya Kolisi. So if anyone can turn this little mini patch of bad results around, it's certainly them.
And do you think they can turn it around this weekend against New Zealand? And likewise, Argentina, obviously, they've not got as much to turn around. Like you say, they put in a pretty good performance last week. But can either of them kind of turn around the results potentially? Do you think, how much do you back them?
It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me if the two results flipped on their head. South Africa took a scalp in Wellington. It's somewhere they've won before, very recently. New Zealand's record in Wellington really isn't great. They lost to Argentina last year, and I think I'll have to check the statistics, but it's not of a healthy record over the course of the last 10 or so years. So that would be the one that South Africa obviously will be circling rather than the two games in Argentina. They were obviously only a couple of points away from beating Australia, so they've got the firepower. They've got an equally exciting backline. I think both games again will be really close. So no, it wouldn't surprise me if the two results flip and then we see a completely different table next week.
And I mean, what is your final prediction? And how good would it be if the results did flip over and going into the kind of last set of fixtures, every team has won? It'd be 1-2 lost predictions for the weekend.
I mean, you can't argue with how good this Rugby Championship has been. I mean, the fact that everyone's beaten everyone, no one knows who's going to lift the title. There's so much jeopardy that's still completely wide open. If it did go to 2-2, like I said, I wouldn't be surprised. And then that goes into the final two rounds of games, and it's anyone's to take. You would probably say if it does flip, then the team that we're saying that are having potentially a disastrous tournament, South Africa, could probably then put a couple of scores on Argentina and then walk out with a title, and then with a lot of swagger doing so as well after everyone's seemingly written them off. So I think if they can get a win, then I would probably back them still to lift the title.
Nice. And like you say, backs to the wall is often where South Africa do their most work. So be good to see. Be good to see. And obviously the Women's World Cup quarterfinals are starting. The group stage was pretty good. Obviously not too much jeopardy in terms of like who was qualifying. There'll be a bit more in quarters, but really good rugby was played. So I mean, how are you looking forward to those matches? And do you think the four that are expected through are going to go through, that being England, New Zealand, Canada and France? Or do you think any of the teams can potentially spring up any shocks?
I think I would be very surprised if any of those four favourites go out in the quarterfinals. As you've seen so far, the pool stages I thought were good. There was some good matches, particularly that USA-Australia draw. That was a really tight, compelling game. But the tournament could probably do with one or two more of those really tight, edge of the seat matches. Because there's been a lot of blowouts, a lot of heavy score lines that have been a little bit ugly for the tournament. But as expected, really, when only a handful are professional, and then a handful are just turned professional, and then others are completely amateur. So that's obviously no reflection, no bad reflection on any of the teams that are still emerging, particularly the likes of Samoa. I think it was great to actually have them in the tournament. I thought they brought a lot off the pitch. Their fans, their culture, the way they embraced going to these packed out stadiums, the way that their coach spoke in interviews, the way they spoke in interviews, they were just an absolute joy to be there. So they were a real highlight of the pool stages, which seems a little bit bizarre, even though they finished obviously with 0 points and quite a very severe points differentiation. But I mean, I think, the tournament, like any, could do with an upset. I can't see it personally this weekend. Looking at the fixtures, you would probably say the best chance would probably be Canada or Australia. I know Canada are one of the tournament favourites, but out of all the other opponents of those big four, Australia, I think, are probably the strongest. They certainly looked very good in parts in the pool stages. So I'd keep an close eye on that one. New Zealand, South Africa, I think it's fantastic that tomorrow we will see New Zealand, South Africa men's and women's matches. That's fantastic. And hopefully people in New Zealand and South Africa will speak to each other and go, "Oh, are you watching New Zealand, South Africa today?" And people will go, "Well, what do you mean, the men's or the women's match, not just the men's?" So that's fantastic to see. France, Ireland, Six Nations rivals, that could be pretty tense. But I do think France should have enough there to get through to the last four. England, Scotland, I mean, every Scotland player, every Scotland fan, that's the fixture that you circle every single year. They love upsetting the odds and trying to beat England. That'll be a fascinating watch, I think. I think Scotland will throw everything they've got at it, but I can't see it. I can't see them really getting that close to this, quite frankly, formidable Red Roses team that just keeps on battering down the history books and looks on course to reach another semi-final. And you would say it would take a lot to stop them from reaching yet another final.
And on Scotland, they had quite a good pool stage, I thought. I was surprised how comfortably they beat Wales, which could bode well. But like you say, Red Roses are a different breed. Realistically, I think the tournament will be between New Zealand, Canada, or, of course, England. I mean, out of those, France maybe, but I think they're slightly below those three. But yeah, I mean, do you think the Red Roses can do it? Obviously, they can, but like, do you think they will win it? Basically,
yeah. To be honest with you, Charlie, I wouldn't be too keen to write off France. I think they're still a very good side. It's probably not as strong as they've been in the past, but they like tournament rugby a lot. And you saw how close they were to beating England to the Six Nations title this year. They were only a couple of points away. So that shows they've got, when they're on it, they're on it. It's just a case of consistency with them. They're probably not, like I said, as strong as they have been in previous years when they were winning Six Nations, they were winning Grand Slams. But I do think that there'll be a test for anyone when it gets to semi-final time, because they know how to win and they have got the potential to show that, get their entertaining flair-ridden backs out wide. They'll be definitely ones to watch. Do I think England can go all the way? Look, everyone knows that they should go all the way. They are the best team. They are world number one. They are on this ridiculous winning streak. I think probably their biggest enemy is themselves, is the pressure that they'll put on themselves, the pressure that comes with an 82,000 sellout final if they get there. But like you said, I think they should. That's a big big burden on your shoulders when you've got that many people expecting you to win. It's very rare in any sport, any major tournament, that one team has been so dominant in the build-up going into it and has such expectations to win. It's not just win, but win by how many? Win with this performance. Not just I generally can't think of any other tournament in the world where one team has gone into it and has just been expected to win, and that takes a lot out of you. I think we have seen a little bit, in the pool stages and that game against France in the Six Nations. Also, when they played New Zealand as well at Allianz Stadium, it has got to them a little bit. You can tell certainly the way they started. They'll have to rectify that because I haven't been impressed really with how they've started many games. A lot of that is eventually we have enough, and England have enough, and then they pull through. But yeah, that has to be rectified. So if you do play a Canada, like you said, or a France, you can't really afford to start poorly, go behind early, and then the pressure just intensifies. So certainly, I mean, England 191 points difference, 15 points out of 15. They absolutely steamrolled through. I expect a similar big scoreline on Scotland this weekend, and then they're into the last four. So on paper, they are the best team. They've got the world's best players. They've got the World Player of the Year, Elliott. They've got everything you could ask for. The best domestic league in the world, one of the best coaches in the world, just a fully professional outfit that is streaks ahead of the rest. But it's that pressure that's going to be on them, the pressure of the home World Cup, the pressure of that sellout crowd. That's what could be their Achilles heel. I don't think it will be. I think England should have enough to win the tournament. Like I said, the only what would be the word, Achilles heel at the minute for England is how poorly they're starting games and letting the opposition have a little bit of joy at the beginning of games in terms of territory, in terms of a few knock-ons, just looking a little bit nervous. Once that's rectified, they should be unstoppable. But again, the game's not played on paper; it's played on grass, isn't it? So we'll have to see.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I mean, as you mentioned there about all the pressure, I feel like if England can get through this tournament and win it, then you really feel like they can go on a bit of a dynasty and kind of go on to win a lot more than they already have, but especially like World Cups. So yeah, this seems like the big one. I mean, I guess that doesn't help with the pressure saying that this is the big one. But yeah, no, it's a very exciting tournament, and hopefully, from our perspective, the Red Roses get over the line.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's like you said, it is huge pressure, but it's also a huge opportunity as well. I mean, you just look at the Lionesses. So many people have obviously said that before, how the Red Roses are trying to emulate the Lionesses, but I mean, look what it's done to women's football. Look what it's done to the WSL. I mean, I firmly believe that women's rugby in this country would explode if England win this World Cup. And I actually think the men's rugby game would explode as well as a result of England women bringing it home. So I think just for the sport in general, it would be incredible. I would hazard a guess to say that the organisers would want England to win as well, just because they just like to see the host nation do really well in a tournament and win it because of the atmosphere it would create, and also everyone knows how powerful commercial nation England are. So it would be the perfect end, wouldn't it? So what an opportunity to create heroes. Ellie Kildunn's talked about she wants to be the next Chloe Kelly. She wants, after the World Cup, to walk down the street and see Kildunn 15 on the back of England jerseys. Other players have wanted to not just be heroes for young aspiring female rugby players, but also male rugby players. Why can't you want to have a step in the kind of that jet-like pace like Ellie Kildunn? Why wouldn't you want to have the intelligent running lines of a Meg Jones? Why would you not want to have the big hitting and the bulldozer-like carriers like they have, like Hannah Bottoman, Marley Packer, Sadia Kaber's ability over the ball? They have just got so many role models, and the opportunity, for greatness and just to explode the sport is huge.
And on that note, I feel like we should end it there. Obviously, very exciting weekend ahead. Ben, thank you very much for coming on. If you read more about what Ben does, then make sure to subscribe to the Rugby Paper. But no, thank you very much, everyone, for listening. Thank you, Ben, for coming on.
Thank you very much, Charlie. Hope to see you again soon.